Bonjour class, today we're learning about a new pronoun called lequel. In today's lesson, we're going to review what a pronoun is, and then more specifically, what is an interrogative pronoun. We'll talk about what lequel means, how and why you use it in a sentence, and then what different contractions there are for the word lequel. So let's start off by reviewing what a pronoun is. A pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun, and a noun is a person, place, or thing, so a pronoun replaces a noun. We've learned about a few of these this year with y and on. Those are the two major ones that we learned last semester. And then interrogative means that it's used in questions. We can see this looks very similar to the word interrogation, so that might help us remember it. So then if we put these two definitions together, we'll find out that an interrogative pronoun is a word that takes the place of a noun in questions specifically. So we saw that y and en could be used for either questions or sentences, but lequel can only be used in questions. So what does it mean? Lequel means which one. So some English examples where we might use this idea of which one would be, instead of saying which class do you prefer, you could say which one do you prefer? Or instead of which team won the Super Bowl, you could say which one won the Super Bowl. So in both of these, we're taking a more specific noun and we're replacing it with something more generic. So just a reminder that in general, you only want to use pronouns if it's already clear what you're talking about. Because if I just walk up to you and say, which one do you prefer, you won't really understand. So it's important to only use which one after the noun has been clearly established. So how do we use it in a sentence? Lequel is going to replace the words it will replace the word quel. Here we have le in parentheses in case it's feminine, and then s in parentheses in case it's plural, as well as the noun. So both of these words will be replaced by lequel. And it goes in the exact same part of the sentence. So you don't have to move anything around, just replace the words quel and the noun with the word lequel. And a reminder, we talked about this already, but it can only be used in questions. Some examples in French, so we're going to translate the English examples from the last slide using lequel. So you could ask, quel cours préférez-vous? Which is, what class do you prefer? Or you could ask, lequel préférez-vous? And this changes it from which class do you prefer to which one do you prefer? Or you could ask, quelle équipe a gagné le Super Bowl? Which team won the Super Bowl? And you could change it to laquelle a gagné le Super Bowl? Which one won the Super Bowl? And here we see both times lequel is used. It's only when you have the word quel, which means like what or which, before a noun. And then like we said, you get rid of both of these words, replace it with just that one, lequel, and you put it in the same part of the sentence. So because these two words are at the beginning of the question, lequel also goes at the beginning of the question. It's important when we use lequel that we remember that it has to agree in number and gender with the noun that it replaces. So this is the standard format. This is the one that we've been talking about. This is what you would use if the noun that you are replacing is singular and masculine. If it is masculine but plural, you add an s at the end. If it's feminine and singular, you change the le to a la, and then you add another le at the end. If it's feminine and plural, you have le, and then quel with the le, and then an s. So this makes sense. If we think about it as starting from our basic lequel, we're already pretty familiar that changing le to la makes it masculine to feminine, and le to les makes it singular to plural. So that's why both of the plural forms start with les, why the singular masculine is le and singular feminine is la, and why there's the extra le at the end for the feminine versions. So also we need to talk about contractions, and we should remember from either English or French classes that a contraction is two words that are joined together. In English, we join them together with an apostrophe like can't or won't or I'm, but in French they just become a new word. So if lequel directly follows the preposition a or the preposition de, it has to form a new contraction. And just a brief reminder, a can mean to, at, or in, and de means of or from. So first of all, let's talk about contractions where you have the preposition a right before the word lequel. Instead of saying à lequel, we change it to auquel. And this should make sense because we should remember that if you just have à and le in a sentence, it makes o, so it makes sense to have that go before the quel. That's for singular masculine. If it's singular feminine, you do leave the a alone, and then it becomes laquelle. Plural masculine becomes auquel. This should also be familiar, because if we have a and then les, les, we should remember it becomes o, aux. And same here if it's feminine and plural. We still have that o ending here, aux, but then it looks like the feminine quel. Similarly, we also have contractions for de with lequel. So for example, singular masculine is duquel, and we know that makes sense because de plus le equals du. Singular feminine will stay de laquelle. Masculine plural is desquel, which we know makes sense because de plus les, les, turns into de, and then we have the s at the end. And lastly, feminine plural is desquel. Again, that de indicates that it is plural, while the double le at the end indicates that it is feminine. So an example of where we would use these contractions. If we have the question, à quelle question répondez-vous? To which question do you respond? You could rewrite this using lequel by saying, à laquelle question répondez-vous? So here we want to look back, and this is the one that we're going to use. À laquelle. If we're going to replace quelle question with lequel here. So that will be our answer. Make sure that you have this answer written down in your notes so that I know that you're listening to it all the way through. And then let me know whatever questions you have tomorrow in class.